In DC, we're just hoping that you listen.
Welcome, everyone, to District Divided, a DC sports podcast. I am Amit. That is my co-host, KDot. KDot, how are you doing today, sir?
I am good. I'm actually, we were talking before the pod, and there was a bunch of stuff happening to me this week. Good, bad, all kind of in between. But I am actually legitimately launching a solo pod coming in June.
Whoa.
Intro's already, first couple guests have been booked. And I'm saying this into the camera right now to hold me accountable actually doing this shit. So that's kind of what it is I'm doing.
Which, you know what, I think is a beautiful transition to at the end of this episode. So we're going to talk about two main things. We're going to talk about some undrafted free agents for the Washington Commanders. Just to be clear, this is a Washington Commanders episode. So we're going to be talking about the undrafted free agents. We're going to name 4 or 5 in particular that we're going to go through. The schedule got released last night. So we are going to go game by game and give you your way too early prediction.
Early. Completely wrong.
Throw
it all out. This is going to be fun, though, because Washington Commanders fans will live in fantasy land.
Oh, yeah. I mean, heck, you're just looking for content. That's why you're here. I mean, the NFL schedule leaks guy, the guy who got 10,000 followers and was like, I got you guys. I honestly miss him. I enjoyed it. Or her. I really enjoyed it. I was like, gave us something to talk about. I didn't care if it was right or wrong. Yeah, it was something to talk about.
No,
so we're going to get
Rich Eisen destroying NFL schedule coverage before he goes on NFL Network was amazing.
It's incredible. It's incredible. You need this stuff right now. So we're going to talk about that. And then we are going to conclude with the comment mailbag. So, and this is going to be a thing moving forward. At the end of each episode, we are going to go through last week's comments, and we are going to, comment on them and react to them and appreciate you guys for commenting. So if you have any comments that you want read next week, we are going to do that on next week's show. So please drop a comment below. You can tweet us at District Divided with show reaction, and we will, again, read it out in next week's show. So let's begin first with the undrafted free agents. Now, last week, we talked about the draft class for the Washington Commanders, those that were actually chosen with the picks that we had. And then the free agency frenzy began for the undrafted players. And we picked up a whole bunch of people, a couple interesting names as well. Now, if you guys remember Jamin Davis, the running back for the Washington Redskins at the time, his son was one of the players that was picked up as an example of an interesting name over there. And then was it Derek Brooks' son as well was also picked up? Is that right? There you go. So there are some interesting names there. Now, we're not touching on them today. KDot, who are we touching on today? Who are we talking about?
Well, I got 4 names because look, undrafted free agents, it's kind of one of those things where it's like, you ever see like Hard Knocks where you get some of the veterans, like, I'm not even going to bother to learn your name because you're probably not going to be here. So it's undrafted free agents. It's the off season. We've had a few gems undrafted free agents wise. Like you look at Cam Sims was one of those guys. Mm-hmm. Like there are a couple guys that maybe sneak through, and I'm hopeful, especially when we're looking at some of the needs that we talk about here on the team. So that's what I'm going to focus on is like 4 guys that kind of excite me, 2 because of the position they play, and 2 others because of some other interesting moments or interesting things. So the 2 linebackers more than anybody, it was Tre Walker, the linebacker out of Notre Dame, and Tre Walker, the linebacker out of Idaho. Those 2 guys, like you could try to find some highlights and game clips for a lot of these undrafted guys, but look, unless they got the agents and the agents are actually working with people to do the video production, it's really, really hard to find shit. So shout out to my man, who I don't remember his name, that wrote the Athletic article that was like, did the paragraph on each. It was pretty legit. If you want a good primer, it's a perfect way to start and at least get you excited about, oh, maybe I should follow this guy. But Tre Walker, 229-pound linebacker out of Notre Dame, was like the team leader on defense. Now, I grew up a Boston College fan, so fuck Notre Dame. But Tre Walker seems like that. He seems like an all-around really, really good guy. That 229 range makes it a little light as far as the linebacker position, but a lot of what we've been looking at as far as like that Buffalo hybrid style sort of guy. He's fairly fast. And what even a few years ago, he set like a career high with like 80 tackles in one season.
That's right. Yep.
Yeah. Great job on him. Means he's a try hard. And if you like that, as far as the amount of tackles, then Tre Walker out of Idaho, who had over 100 tackles last year, 105, actually had a game where he was double digits as far as the tackles went. That's another guy, plays at 235, not necessarily known as the fastest guy at the linebacker position, but as far as what we're looking at when we want somebody that's going to play like that true Mike position at linebacker, where we're not sure as far as what, I know they're going to probably ask Cole Holcomb to do it. even though nobody's super duper excited about him doing it. We're looking for somebody to kind of pop up talent wise. We didn't address it in free agency. We didn't address it in the draft. So maybe this is a guy that, once again, one of those lunch pail guys, right? Doesn't show anything crazy as far as in the athleticism, don't show anything crazy as far as his physical attributes at all. But when you look at a Ron Rivera defense, you look at some of the guys that you get to play, like even the Cole Holcombs, or when we had David Mayo trying to come in, you want the lunch pail guys, the guys that just go to work, make the tackles. They're at least sure tacklers. They're not game breakers or playmakers, but they're dudes that'll do everything they can do from that position, which is sometimes all you need. You need somebody to just be in there, fill that gap, and know I'll either slow down the running back or be able to wrap up and make the tackle myself. And that's what I see when I see a Tre Walker. He just seems like that type of dude.
And so if I may, and so two quick things. One, the author of the Athletic article, Ben Standig, who covers the team, and thank you very much for writing about those guys, of course.
I love Ben.
Yeah, no, I was going to say staple of the DC sports community. But I had a question for you, and maybe this is more of, a personal preference question, KDot. So you mentioned Tre Walker out of Idaho. He's a little bit bigger, more tackles on the season. And then you got a guy like Drew White. Listen, Notre Dame is playing a lot of big games. He had a pick 6 against Wisconsin, for example. I mean, so he's playing probably better competition than Tre Walker, but his measurables aren't quite there. He has fewer tackles. Where do you place more of the value? Would it be like, hey, the strength of schedule, or would it be, hey, this guy's just been generating tackles in Tre Walker, and I prefer that guy?
I don't know if I value any one more than the other at this particular point in time. I mean, like, that's the thing is when I look at our Commanders defense, we see that there's clearly a gaping hole at the linebacker position across the board, really, right? Like we kind of pencil in Davis as being this guy that's going to be more of the coverage linebacker after what we've seen from him last year. He hasn't shown us necessarily he can be that guy, right? Cole Holcomb, same thing. We all like him. He does well. He does what is asked of him but nobody's looking at Cole Holcomb and saying this is a sure bona fide Pro Bowler, right? And even if you look at what it is that those two guys bring, it's very, very different skill sets. Anything at the linebacker position is going to be good for us right now, whether it be the versatility when it comes to speed, or there be somebody that can play more of a traditional role as far as the linebacker position, just to shore up the run. We need anything. We just need bodies there at linebacker at this point, right? Right. Especially any bodies with any sort of upside. I don't know as far as the strength of schedule. I'm one that believes that college football, especially over the last couple of years, has just been fucking weird. After COVID, it's just been a strange place to be. Now, some guys are getting paid, some guys are. I don't know what's happening in college football at this particular point in time, right?
Right.
But if you have somebody who, when you look at what Ron Rivera looks for in his players, which are dudes that go to work. That's what I'm looking at when I'm seeing the stats, when I'm seeing these guys, is that they don't go crazy off the measurable standpoint, but what they do is it look like they go to work and they try as hard as they possibly can. High character guys that are willing to work. Undrafted free agents that know they have to work their asses off even to get a shot at anything. That's what you're looking for at this particular point. Not anybody who's going to show up and just be a Pro Bowler. I don't think anybody's like that at any point.
Right. It's very important to note that. So we're talking about these guys. There's a incredibly good chance they don't even make the team. Right. But just because they don't make the team initially doesn't mean you don't hear their name later down the season. They could make the practice squad, for example, and then some injuries occur. It's the NFL. Injuries happen all the time. I wouldn't be surprised if we're hearing Tre Walker's name or if we're hearing Drew White's name. Based on what you know about them, KDot, is there one you like more than the other? Or are you sort of in like, you know what? It's a we'll see. I'm very excited for the opportunity presented to them, appreciative of that, and we just see who wants it more.
Yeah, I think that's where I'm at with all of these guys. Like they're like the next day, I'm probably going to mention somebody that's just excited to see what it is they look like on the practice field, right? But yeah, I just want bodies. Like at this particular point in time, especially at the linebacker position, we just need to see what guys are capable of doing. We have the room to see what guys are capable of doing. We don't have anybody on the roster you can absolutely say is an absolute slam dunk if somebody better didn't walk into the door, right? Or somebody arguably better didn't walk into the door. So I think at this particular point in time, just anything that we can get guys on film, working in practice, potentially seeing the field in preseason, getting game time. I just want to see what we got. Right now, that is where we need basic fucking Vince Papali the shit. Just hold an open fucking tryout and let some trash truck driver come in linebacker. That's how much we need help at the position, I think.
We so sorely need help in that position. When we get into our way too early predictions, I'm pretty sure we're going to highlight that position and be like, hey, I don't know. A lot of this really does depend. It really does depend on the growth and development of Jamin Davis. And it's a lot of pressure on the kid, right? Because he was round 1 pick. You look at his measurables, you're like, my goodness, this guy's a unit, a specimen at that linebacker position, but his instincts weren't really there season 1 relative to what we were hoping for as a fan base. Doesn't mean he can't have a huge second season, but we need it, right? We have
Del Rio has some. Didn't Del Rio have a quote about him this week?
What do you say about him this week?
I thought it was something about. Pull it up. I thought I saw it on Twitter at some point. I probably should have did some research on it, but I believe he had comments about Davis and things not necessarily working out the way that they wanted it to, which sounded like, all right, trying to light a fire in a young man's ass.
Yeah, well, let's see. So I'm looking up news right now. Well, we've got Jack Del Rio praises Cole Holcomb amid uncertainty at linebacker. Friendly reminder, Cole Holcomb is currently underpaid and is out of contract at the end of the season. So that's always a good sign. I'm not seeing anything on Jamin just yet.
There we go. Jamin Davis had a rough rookie year.
That's the quote.
That is the quote.
That is true.
It's very true. So I mean, yeah, look, this is the quote. Jamin Davis had a rookie year. If you go back and look at it and take the 30 splash plays out of the year, you would say this guy's a great player. What we need for Jamin is more consistency. And I think you will see that in the growth in his second year. If you look at a 4-year starter, someone that played a lot, when you look at it in retrospect, we do have a lot of experience coming in. I like talent. Give us the talent. We will coach him up. And I think that's it. Especially those two guys we're looking at the undrafted free agent aspect. These are dudes that have been starters for years in their prospective colleges. They want guys that have been leaders, especially Notre Dame dude was a team captain. Like, this is what they want. They want coachable guys. They want guys that are going to work their asses off, play above what anybody expects them to, and be malleable to learn the position and to get the proper coaching. And I think it's true. They're claiming experience in this really weird way when it comes to the NFL. There's no NFL experience, and it all goes out the window as far as what happens in college. But right. I like Del Rio's being extremely honest. I mean, he's definitely swaying a little bit in the pot, trying to be positive about it all, because he probably wishes they addressed a little bit more for agency too.
Well, it's an interesting position, right? When your defensive coordinator is saying, hey, a guy we drafted in the first round on defense had a rough rookie year. Because I could easily see fans being like, well, isn't that your job to make sure he does have a good year? And so it is an interesting quote. I'm almost surprised at him saying it. I don't think that there was necessarily a need to, but hey, these coaches work the way they work. Bruce Arians, for example, he's known for shooting his mouth off, and he's won a Super Bowl. So, I mean, it really does just depend. Everyone's got their own styles. We're hoping for the best for Jamin Davis in year 2. And based on the track record, and we've cited this many, many times, but based on the drafting track record of the regime here in Washington, you got to feel at least optimistic about it. And I do think Jamin has a big second year. So, one final note, we really, really, really wanted a certain player in that Notre Dame defensive, front, backfield, etc., who's now going to be playing in Baltimore. We can at least ask Drew White about him, be like, hey, what was it like playing with Kyle? That's probably the closest we're going to get, unfortunately, besides going up the Beltway. Anyway, let's talk about a couple more names here, KDot, that you had also highlighted and wanted to discuss. So those were the linebackers. Who else did you want to touch on?
Ferrod Gardner. Safety, linebacker / safety hybrid sort of guy from Louisiana, also where Percy Butler played, who we did draft in, what was it, the 4th round?
4th round, 120 overall. That's right.
Gardner, when we're talking with Del Rio's quote, as far as guys with a lot of experience, Ferrod Gardner started his college career in 2015.
That's a lot of experience. It's
a lot of experience. He had a series of really, really rough injuries. So Liz Frank surgery in 2017, a labrum rotator cuff surgery in 2020. There is a lot that he's had to bounce back from. And I think that there's a lot of things where if you can't be in that starting position for all those years, well, nobody would be for all those years, but if you're in a position
8-year starter. Yeah. Go ahead.
But if you're in that position for a while, like you'd expect to see, but I think with the injuries and everything else, he just wasn't necessarily one that was cared about all that much. And even with Percy Butler, when he got drafted, like the only person who was really talking a whole lot of shit about him is Chris Sims. Most of everybody else you had to kind of dig about Percy Butler, even though Chris Sims said he's the best damn free safety, pure free safety of the draft. There are a few highlights you could find on Ferrod Gardner that are pretty legit, whether or not he's coming down from all the and just stuffing a running back. So there's a couple things with him that I get excited about. I also get excited about the fact that he's going to be with his teammate in Percy Butler. And especially in the secondary, especially look at like early last season, when you got these guys that don't really know each other in the secondary and they're trying to communicate and get things right, sometimes there's a lot there's a lot of growing pains there. So I think with these two guys, depending on where it is they line up, maybe one at safety, maybe both in the safety position, maybe one that Buffalo hybrid sort of thing. And say you could have two guys on the defense that potentially trust each other because they know each other, and that only helps. It only helps.
Right. And, it's a really, really unique and interesting situation, I find, because they play us, it seems like, based on what we've read, a similar role. They were very close in tackles. I actually think Ferrod Gardner had more tackles than Percy Butler, I want to say, this past season. And so I'm just thinking about training camp, right? And these OTAs and stuff like that, and how they're almost competing with each other, but they know each other and they can push each other. And I don't know if this is just to get the best out of Percy Butler or if it sort of flips and all of a sudden Ferrod Gardner, Percy's giving Ferrod the best sort of situation. And Ferrod's like, oh, I feel comfortable now. And now I'm thriving. From a fan base standpoint and perspective, we just want one of them to work. We want both ideally to work, but at the very least one. I think it's a very smart move by the Commanders to bring him in. And like you said, there are some nice highlights of this dude. I'm very, very much looking forward to seeing his name pop up here and there with reports from John Keim and JP Finley, those that actually attend Pete Haley, those that attend, the on-field stuff over the offseason. I'm willing to bet we'll see his name once or twice because that Buffalo hybrid role is very, very important to this team. Mm-hmm. I don't know what we're doing with Landon Collins. I haven't really heard much about it recently, but as far as I know, he's still out there and could still be a candidate. But that's something to talk about another time. And there was one last name you wanted to mention, KDot, and who was that?
Curtis Hodges, tight end out of Arizona State. Literally looking at the Athletic article, inconsistencies and injuries limited Hodges for most of his career with the Sun Devils. That being said, the motherfucker's 6'7". Which is the only thing that I need to know at this particular point in time about Curtis Hodges. We've got freaks in the tight end room, and we've talked about this. We talked about, I think, last week before. I'm a huge fan of the freaks in that particular type, in that particular situation, that particular position. And my thing is that the more reps these guys get, the more time that they get spent either learning how to pass. Apparently, he's a very willing learning how to block. He's learning how to receive. It's almost the same as Reyes 2.0, Samis Reyes 2.0, which I'm fine. Bring as many of those guys in as possible and just see what you got. It allows the athleticism and your natural just gifts and ability to shine at that position. 6'7" is just intriguing.
I was muted there. Yes, you were correct. And here's the other thing. Now it says he's underdeveloped as a route runner in that same little blurb over there. And so there is some work to do. And it was either Dave or Dane, Brugler, who wrote The Beast. And that is also an athletic piece, which is like this enormous, it's like hundreds of pages on each of these players. And so he even says this guy is worthy of at least practice squad consideration. Again, the injuries are probably why this guy isn't drafted, right? You look at his measurables and you go, my goodness. And as KDot has alluded to, and I think it's an excellent point, the tight end position is your freak position. You want to find those insane measurables. You want to find guys that are unguardable when healthy, right? And so Curtis Hodges also provides that element. And we're talking about Curtis. It's year 2 of Samis Reyes, and we are a Samis Reyes podcast. And I'm very much looking forward to seeing how did he develop over the past year, because he did take up a roster spot with the full intention of developing him, having him practice, stuff like that. So I'm curious to see how he does this year, having a guy like Curtis Hodges come in, having a guy like Cole Turner come in. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be very, very interesting in that tight end room. All the while, Logan Thomas needs to come back as well. Any final thoughts, KDot, on the 4 names that you had mentioned?
No.
No. All right. Perfect.
Hey, look, it's an exciting time, right? Look, you see the undrafted free agents, you think about what the possibilities could be, right?
Yeah.
Like if we're gonna keep it real, maybe one or two of these guys make the practice squad, if at all.
Correct.
But you're always holding out hope that this is like some of these guys, it's the last hope of this dream, and you're always pulling for them. And some of these names just seem like they've been quality guys in college, team leaders, dudes that have other guys have been rooting for. And I just wish them the absolute best. And we would always want the most talent possible to work out for our organization, our team.
Always. And that's why we're digging deep over here to be able to try and be like, hey, these are some of the guys to look out for. I mean, that is the reason everyone cares. And I think the Washington Commanders podcast community is incredible. You know, like there are so many people out there. It's such a passionate fan base. And yeah, we are really hoping that one or two of these names works out, and it would be even better and a feather in the cap if through KDot's research, we managed to find a guy or two that does end up, in fact, making the team. Let's go ahead and jump over to the schedule, KDot. What were your initial reactions? It dropped last night. You saw it. I think a lot of people had very similar thoughts. Where were yours?
My initial thought was the NFL needs to stop being so goddamn selfish. We don't need to milk everything for fucking ratings, you jackasses. Even though I know, hey, we're doing a podcast on it, so where the fuck are we? Like NBA playoffs are on it. And it was some good fucking game. You know, one was blood last night. Fucking Sixers. Just let shit breathe. Come on. We already got fucking bashed over the head with the draft coverage over fucking 4 days. Chill fuck out. Other than that, as far as the Commanders in the schedule release. Oh, also shout out to dude that was doing the fake schedule.
Schedule leaks. I loved them.
The schedule leaks was legit.
Again, I loved them. Everyone else is like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you did that. Like, come on, man. What were you talking about? Like, it's something to do. It's another thing to do. I didn't care. I was like, sure, let's pretend that happened. What if? Go ahead.
I look at this schedule and I think it's promising, right? So like I almost break it down and like there are these almost 3 like chapters in our schedule. Like you see, like it starts off with promise. You got Jacksonville, Detroit, and then it's like there's 3 triplets of games that are just kind of like, ooh, that could be interesting, right? So you look at Philly week 3, Dallas week 4, Tennessee week 5. Those are 3 games back to back to back that could be extremely interesting. So it's like you look at the first couple games, you're like, well, you need to win out to put yourself in position through those other 3 games, right? Then you look at the second time. I look at week 7, Green Bay to Indianapolis week 8, Minnesota week 9. Could get really interesting as far as those 3 games, right? Depending on how some things slot out. I don't think anybody's looking at those 3 teams and saying that you can't guarantee a win against any of them, can you? And then absolutely. I look at the end of the year, week 16 through 18, San Fran, Cleveland, Dallas.
Yeah.
Once again, going to be really, really interesting. And depending on where these teams kind of line out, you see the playoff spots going to be for grabs right there. So it's an entertaining schedule. I do like the fact that we don't have any home games at 4, which means that the Beltway should be fucking clear by the evening. On the weekends.
That's how you read a schedule release, by the way. That's what it's really about. How's the Beltway gonna look?
Nothing worse than being on the road at like 8:30, drive just going
that's
somewhere
fair.
On a Sunday night, and you're like,
that's tough.
What the fuck is this summit? Oh, god damn it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, how about this? Why don't we go through it game by game? And before we do that, I'll give you my quick 30 seconds on it. Sure. It's easy to look at the entire schedule and go, okay, we can pick the wins and losses, which is what we're about to do just for fun. Just for fun. But it's also important to note, hey, we lost Ryan Fitzpatrick after drive 3 of the first game.
Yep.
Would that not have changed the way you predicted games? Like, I mean, that's Russell Wilson missed some time, so he's coming back. He looks a little shaky for Seattle. Things happen during the season. So what we're doing is purely for fun. It's entirely subject to change. This isn't like, I know that there are stars in the NBA that miss time, and this year I think was exceptional. But overall, in terms of injuries, there are way fewer injuries in the NBA than there are in the NFL to key players, in my opinion. That's an opinion I hold. So it's easier to, I think, predict what would happen in maybe an NBA season than an NFL season. You see a lot of, worst to first. You look at the Bengals, they were horrible, right? Then they have 1 year of Joe Burrow. He actually has to come back from injury. Next thing you know, they're in a Super Bowl. Like it is a crazy league. It really is a crazy league. I think there's a lot of parity. With that being said, we're going to throw all that caution to the wind, and we're going to begin with the predictions over here. So the first 2 weeks, we've got the Jaguars at home, the Lions on the road. I think a lot of people feel really, really good about this. We're about to find out how we feel about it. So KDot, let's begin. We are at home September 11th, week 1, to the Jacksonville Jaguars, who, of course, Trevor Lawrence, second year. We've got Doug Peterson as their head coach now. What are your thoughts? Win or loss?
I'll be in Europe.
Nice.
Yeah,
Good
we'll
for
be.
you.
Got to figure out the streaming situation.
We will.
Carson Wentz revenge game, right? It all kind of went bad in Indianapolis after that Jacksonville loss, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it did go bad. It all kind of went bad. It all went fucking bad.
It went horribly.
Ursay lost his shit. It was really bad. Give us a win. And look, if we lose this game, all bets are off, baby.
That's so true. That's so true. Then it's like, what are we doing? I love that could happen. The Jaguars did not win a road game last year. Okay, so it's been a while since they've won a road game. I am also going to give it to the Commanders because I think it's easier to predict the early parts of the schedule because you can assume health. Now, I just made the point about Ryan Fitzpatrick going down after drive 3, but you can more reasonably assume health early on versus later.
You remember the Ravens? They're running back. You remember the Ravens that are running back?
Oh my gosh, those have they switched whatever they were running on? Like, have they switched the turf?
What the hell is
no matter, even if there was nothing wrong with the turf, you got to get rid of it.
Just do it.
You have to get rid of it. You can't let the players trot back out there and go, yeah, same turf as last year. Or at least tell them it's different. At least tell them you changed it.
The whole running back room gone by week 1. Shit was nuts.
All right. So that's game 1. We believe 1-0 for the Commanders. Now we're at Detroit. At Detroit, it's a bit tricky because they finished the season 2-2 and they blew the Cardinals out. It was one of the most random situations, but they were at home when they absolutely pummeled.
Hopkins wasn't playing, right?
Yeah, but it was 30-12.
Yeah, the team is nothing without Hopkins. Kyler Murray, for sure. Yeah, but they do like biting kneecaps.
This team loves biting kneecaps, and they're going to be at home for this one. Well, what are your thoughts here? Commanders Lions at Detroit, September 18th, week 2, 1:00.
Another win, because if we don't, all bets are off, baby.
I love your style.
We need 2-0.
We desperately need 2-0. There's something in me that's saying loss.
It gets ugly if we don't finish this 2-0.
I think it gets a little weird. It makes the Eagles suddenly this massive game. There's something in me that's just saying, I feel like whenever we played Detroit early in the season at Detroit, we lose. Remember, wasn't that Matt Stafford's first ever win? They were on like a 20-game losing streak, and then we play them week 3 at Detroit. They beat us. Mm-hmm. There's something about it. In the same way that there's something about Indianapolis going to Jacksonville. They just can't win. They just can't do it. It doesn't matter. This is kind of similar in my brain right now. As of right now, Friday the 13th, I'm picking a loss against the Lions. So I'm 1-1. KDot's 2-0 for the Commanders, which sets up a monumental week 3. This is going to be Carson Wentz's first time, I want to say, playing against Philadelphia. So that's a 1:00 start as well. What's your thought there? And we're at home.
Loss.
See, now I'm going win.
All right, so I'm going loss because I'm going to pick us to beat Philly the next time around, which we'll get to. But I'm going loss because it's at home. At this point in the season, we have 1 win against the Jacksonville Jaguars, so FedEx Field's going to be empty as fuck. Nobody's going to be there.
Anyway, yeah.
Nobody's going to be there. Dan might cover up some more sections. And the Carson Wentz revenge game doesn't happen in our home, which isn't really home yet.
Okay. After 20 plus years, still not home. You don't think?
It changes every year. I mean,
it does.
Do you want your home to have raw sewage water falling on your guests? No.
Do you not?
I ain't fucking claiming that. Like, I'll still stand. You know what? I just had like a flashback to. You ever
What's
had a
that
moment where
flashback
like a smell or a taste just comes over you?
Yeah, of course.
That burnt ass microwave hot dog I had at FedEx Field last year.
Forgot
How
about
you
that.
how you char the dog and it's like not grilled.
How much did you pay for that again?
I don't want to talk about it.
Okay. All right, but
Our
we're
fans
both
had the best experience in year. Fuck you.
Oh, Jason, right. Anyway, 2-1. We're both at 2-1 right now for the Commanders. Oof. Week 4 at Dallas, 1:00. What do you think?
Loss.
I'm going loss as well. Going to be 2-2 at that point.
I think 2-2 is okay. I also think that if we're looking at week 4, I don't think both of those losses are close. I'm talking about final possession sort of games. Those two like back-to-back heartbreaks against division rivals, to where our fans are like, "Ah, man, shit, who the fuck did we beat? Jacksonville and Detroit? Oh, we suck." Like we're gonna be in that mode.
And so
that particular point's out.
I've got us 2-0 at home and 0-2 on the road, basically. Again, I have the loss of the Lions, but I have the win against the Eagles. Everyone's feeling good. Then we lose to Dallas, and the sky's falling all over again.
Yeah, it's 500 across the board, except in the division. I won 2. So.
Yeah, which is, I'd much rather have what I'm doing than what you're doing right now. Tennessee, we are at home against Tennessee week 5. And that's also 1:00, as you were mentioning. Beltway will be clear in the evening. What's your thought here?
Win.
I'm going win as well. I think the Titans have been weakened considerably, losing AJ Brown. The confidence with Ryan Tannehill right now is sort of bumpy. And let's see. It's all about stopping Derrick Henry on that team, isn't it?
It's about stopping Derrick Henry, who's been hurt recently and is only getting older at a running back position.
Yep. All right. So
he plays extremely physically. Extremely physically.
He does. Okay. So we're 3-2 there. Now we've got the Bears on a Thursday night. Okay. So that is going to be week 6, Chicago, Thursday night at Chicago. What do you think?
Anytime it's the Bears at night, I'm reminded of 2007 when when Sean Taylor passed and Jason Campbell went down. Todd Collins had to come in.
Right.
And I pulled my Jeep up on the curb on Rockville Pike and I beat the shit out of my steering wheel. Damn near cried.
We had different reactions to that. I also thought, wasn't it? No, I thought it was maybe the Vikings, but no, listen, I had a different reaction because I remember being frustrated with Jason Campbell. Now I wasn't celebrating the injury, but I remember being like, you know what? Let's see what Todd can do. He ended up going on a run.
Yeah, he did, but it was Todd fucking Collins.
I understand.
When he first came in, we won that game that night, but it was like the Todd Collins. You come in, how the fuck your sleeves that goddamn long in your jersey, sir? And it just looked like a fucking insurance salesman.
There was something gorgeous about it. It worked.
There was some mystique. There was
magic.
It was weird.
The long-sleeved wonder.
Win against Chicago.
I agree. I've also got a win against Chicago. So we are at 4-2. 4-2. Not bad.
Good.
Looking good. We are now at home to Green Bay.
Loss.
Week 7 loss. I agree.
Look, I still don't know who the fuck Aaron Rodgers is throwing a football to.
Doesn't matter.
Which could be an issue. Look, I'm either really high or really low in Green Bay this year. I just think that they need to be able to run that offense through AJ Dillon and Aaron Jones, and they'll be okay. I don't know if Aaron Rodgers is capable of having them run an offense through running backs, but who the fuck are you throwing the football to? Because you don't trust people. No, you're not gonna. So I think Green Bay could be really sucky. I think there's a chance of that, depending on what it is of an offense. But I'll say loss right now. I'll go that they'll be good, not bad.
Okay, good and not bad. Although I will say, I think in the regular season, the home team tends to win. So whenever we go to Green Bay, we lose. Whenever they come here, regular season, recently, we've won.
And especially like a day game where there's not a lot of fanfare, it feels like it could be a win, but I'm going to go loss.
I'm going to go loss too. And I think that's also probably our commander's brain and conditioning being like, oh, hold on, we can't be 5-2. That's not allowed. So 4-3 it is for both of us, which leads into a incredible matchup. It's going to be week 8 against the Colts. On the road, 425. That's probably nationally televised, considering the Carson Wentz narrative over there. What do you see there?
Win. Carson Wentz goes back to Indianapolis, pulls off a victory.
I want that more than anything. I think the Colts are a unit this year.
I do too. I love Matt Ryan.
I think Matt Ryan, Jonathan Taylor, Michael Pittman. I think Alec Pierce, the guy they drafted in the second round out of Cincinnati, is flying under the radar. So I have this as a loss. I do think Carson plays well. I just think Indianapolis with Matt Ryan there provides stability that they're looking for. I think Carson has more of the big play ability about him, but I think that team's looking more for consistency. I think it's a match made in heaven for them, right? They want to rely on defense. And I do think that the Colts win, but Carson plays well. So
I'm going week 8. This is when injuries start to pop up.
Sure, that is true.
They've been riding the fuck out of Jonathan Taylor. I think he might miss a game or two, and it's right around this point.
I could see Nyheim Hines torching us, though. Again, like he's one of the better pass catching backs in the league. And if we're talking about question marks at the linebacker,
baby!
All right, so you got him 5-3. I've got him 4-4. We then play the Vikings at home. Kirk Cousins comes to DC. What do you think?
Win. You like that, Kirk?
I was gonna say the same thing. I've also got a win, and I'm also gonna say you like that. There we go. That's gonna be a win for us. So I am at 5-4. You were at KDot. Whoa, no.
I know.
6-3.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
No, it's getting better.
I'm 5-4, 6-3, especially because, as you were mentioning, we are now still on the Carson Wentz Revenge Tour Monday night at Philadelphia. What do you have, sir?
Bye, Big Dick Nick. I've come back. A win for Carson Wentz and the resurging Washington Commanders.
Ooh. Do we take the statue down as well?
The
Nick
Philadelphia
statue?
fans will do that.
They'll do that. We won't have to do that. They'll do that.
They'll take care of it.
All right. So
7-3, baby. 7-3.
7-3. I do think we win this one. I think we lose the Colts one, but I do think we win this one. Oh my gosh, 7-3. And I'm currently sitting at 6-4. This is interesting. Okay, 7-3, 6-4. Oh boy. We're playing Houston, November 20th on the road. What do you have?
Win.
I have a loss.
Nah,
I have a loss. This is going to be the Carson Wentz game where we're like, what? You just played amazing at Philadelphia. I don't understand. I'm going loss.
Okay,
but you're going win. So you're 8-3. I'm loving what you're doing here.
Can you name 5 players in that Houston Texans roster?
Yeah, I think so. Hold on. So we got Davis Mills. We're gonna do this. We've got Davis Mills, Derek Stingley Jr., who just got signed.
Oh,
we got is David Johnson still on the team? Rex Burkhead.
Yeah,
I can name the running back. Because where's Brandon Cooks? Is he still there? I think Brandon Cooks is over there. Look, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, you Jack Easterby, whatever the fuck, praising Jesus on the sideline, but missing his Chick-fil-A because it's Sunday and they lose.
Okay, so you're at 8-3. I'm losing track of where I'm at. I think I'm. What am I? 7-5. I think. Wait, that doesn't make sense. You can't be 8-3 and I'm 7-5. I didn't pick an extra game.
Are you 6-5?
Must be 6-5. Am I 6-5? Well, I'm quickly running through mine because you're definitely.
I'm
8-3.
actually. I got to start marking this schedule.
Yeah, please start doing that. Thank you guys for who's watching, sticking with us. Just give us a moment. So I've got.
All right, hi.
1-1, 2-1, 2-2, 3-2, 4-2, 4-3, 4-4, 5-4, 6-4, 6-5. I'm 6-5. Yeah.
I'm actually like drawing on my shit.
Okay.
I had win here. I had a win here.
Right. You've got us on a tear right now.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
From the Colts game on, you've got us winning. We're on a 4-game win streak according to you right now.
Yep.
Okay. So 8-3. I'm at 6-5. Now we've got Falcons coming to the Commanders. Dude, we have a late bye week. I'm just now realizing that.
Week 14.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's incredibly late. Okay, so we play the Falcons, and we're at home. What do you think?
Loss.
You gotta be shitting me. Okay, well, I'm going win.
This is
what ends it for us.
This is one of those random things that happen.
Okay.
Where you scratch your heads any given Sunday. Marcus Mariota, Kyle Pitts, they figure it out. Calvin Ridley gets off his little what is it?
He's suspended for the year.
He's suspended the whole year. All right, never mind. Kyle Pitts is enough. I love Kyle Pitts.
Does Calvin Ridley bet on this game?
Of course.
That's got to be a prop bet for people too.
Of course.
Yeah, that should be.
He's just using an alias now.
Like
any normal human being would in his position.
Alvin Ridley just takes with. All right, so I've got us at 7-5. You've got us at 8-4. Okay. Wow, this is interesting. Now, see, I thought I knew the schedule, but this is very interesting. We actually have the Giants back to back, so it's going to be week 13 bye, then Giants again. So first, Giants on the road. Win or loss?
Win.
I'm going to go loss. Okay, so 6-5, 7-5. I'm 7-6. You're 9-4. Okay. Flip it right back around. We get them again. Win or loss? I'll go first. I got
loss. I'm gonna get lost.
Okay, so we are splitting the series.
Yep.
We're just doing it in different order. Okay. So that puts me 8-6, I think. 8, 7, 8, right? Yeah. And you're at
1, 2, 3.
9-5.
God damn it.
You're at 9-5. This is really hard to keep track of. I didn't realize how hard this is. You're 9-5. I'm 8-6. Okay. At San Francisco.
Loss.
Win. I think at that point, either Trey Lance is in or Jimmy, something weird. This is the year where something weird happens to San Francisco. This always happens to them. They have a really, really good year. Then they have a really, really weird year. And so I think this is what happens. We end up winning that game. Now, you've got lost. So we're at the same record now. We're at, okay. We're at 9-6. New Year's Day. Watch how much you drink, people. You're going to need to get up for this at 1:00 Eastern time. Commanders at home to the Cleveland Browns.
Loss.
I think Deshaun is, if Deshaun's playing, it's a loss.
I think they're
actually, even if Baker's playing, it's probably.
I think they're in a hell of a battle for that division. I think Cincinnati's still on top, but I think they scramble and they get that win there on us. Okay, sounds good. And I am also going loss. So we're at the same record of 9-7 at this point. And then we're at home to Dallas. Win or loss? Win.
Why?
I think it ends the season. So I've got this narrative kind of playing in my head. All right.
Yeah, I do too.
So there's this because of the late bye, things start kind of falling apart around that bye week for us.
Okay.
To me.
Yeah.
You get the loss happens to Atlanta, and we're like, what the fuck was that, Washington?
Right.
Then we get the get right game against New York. Maybe there's an injury that we're waiting for to see if somebody comes back. But after the bye week, like D'Angelo Hall, they slip in the kitchen wearing socks trying to cook a pizza, and they can't come back.
Forgot about that.
And the loss happens to New York
John
after
Wall?
the bye.
Is that John Wall?
No, it was D'Angelo Hall. But I don't know if did it happen to John Wall too?
No, maybe he was the shower. I can't remember. I feel like something happened with Wall as well. That was like, wait, what?
Very possible.
I think you're right. I think you're right about D Hall.
But I think we come back, the New York loss, and then you have the murders of San Francisco and Cleveland. And then right there at the end, because I got us at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
What record are you trying to pull right now?
10. 10
and 7.
I have us at 10-7, right there at the cusp.
Are we a playoff team?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. What seed?
Wild card.
Yeah, I think we're like a 6. I don't think we're a 7.
Yeah, 6 or wild card, somewhere around there. Kind of depends on how the debate. I'm curious as how Philadelphia looks by the end of the season.
Yeah. I think that's a very interesting point. Again, they got Devontae Smith, and I think they did an excellent job in the draft. They also got AJ Brown.
I don't believe in Jalen Hurts.
That's the thing. I really think it depends on how you feel about Jalen Hurts. I think that he is going to be very streaky. I think he's going to have moments where he looks incredible and people are like, he's the guy. And then he's going to have some moments where it's just like, wow, what happened there? Like a little bit of accuracy issues, stuff like that. We'll see what happens though. So that's 10-7. That was your way too early. And the reason it's way too early is because we kept losing track of our record. It's a very easy thing to do. Did we win? Did we lose? How many do we have? We couldn't even do that. So we appreciate
we have
it.
the same record.
We had the same record after all of that. Just different
Very,
ways
very
of
weird to
getting
get
there.
there.
Different ways of getting there.
Mine makes more sense.
You know, there are many different ways. There are many, many different ways to get to Cap One Arena, for example. You can take the metro, you can drive, you can
All
walk.
bad.
You know, and you took one way, I took the other, but we got there. We're there for the game. 10-7. Let's talk about some comments. Officially, the first ever comment mailbag. And it's a thanks to you guys for commenting because, you know, for a while there, we didn't get any comments. Now, all of a sudden, we're getting comments and we're really appreciative of that. And so now we have the opportunity to be able to react to them. So let's go ahead and jump into these from last week. Last week, of course, was the 2022 NFL Draft recap and analysis, as well as current positions of need. Let's start with VA Money Group, who said, quote, let's not forget Payne, Daron Payne, is our only elite lineman. I could not disagree more.
Yeah, how can one forget something that's just not true?
Jonathan Allen is our best lineman, first and foremost. Chase Young was rookie of the year. And yes, he had a disappointing sophomore season, but we still have Montez Sweat. I don't think Daron Payne's the only elite one. I think he's incredible.
That's my thing is like, no matter what the criteria is, I don't see how you get Daron Payne being that guy. Like maybe if we're looking at the best physical talent or ability from the tackle position, maybe I think that he's got a better body, maybe more athletic than Jonathan Allen can be. Yep. But if we're talking about just the whole off defensive line, he's not more athletically capable than Chase Young or Montez Sweat by a long fucking shot. Right. So what are you talking about? But
yeah, well, unless he meant it sarcastically, I have no clue. But shout out VA Money Group. Thank you for the comment. We really appreciate it. Now Blood Clot with a K had 3 comments. We're going to quickly just sort of run through those. First off, I loved his idea here's what he said in reference to Fedarian Mathis, who we called Phil last week, and he likes to be called Phil as well, apparently. He says, quote, I like 50 Cent or just 50, but not Phil. I actually agree. I think those are great names. I heavily prefer those. I hope Fedarian Mathis gets that question from somebody. Hey, what are your thoughts on 50, stuff like that? That'd be dope.
I want you to know that that was a natural nickname, it feels like. And it's one that I think is going to stick. And you, sir, are going to get the first credit.
You know what? I'm going to go ahead and love that. I just loved it from last week and gave it a thumbs up. Giving it both. That was great. We do that on the fly here. Now let's go ahead and look at another comment of his, which was, do you think that Ron Rivera might have not liked Daron's scuffle with John Allen? Doesn't fit Ron's culture, so it made the idea to save future cap space more palatable. It's an interesting thought, right? I mean, when we talked about that scuffle, which was just a fiasco at Dallas, where it was, I hate even thinking about that game. But yeah, the scuffle was a big deal. You know, and Daron moved stuff from his Instagram, which seems to be the common move when people are upset. It's like, I'm just going to delete everything. But it was a big deal. They're boys. They're clearly boys. They went to the Caps game together. Like they're friends. They're brothers at the end of the day. But I understand the point and idea right behind. Maybe Ron didn't like it. It was like, you know what? I appreciate that you guys are brothers. I appreciate that you guys can fight, but you do not do that at a game. What do you think?
I actually don't think it was a big deal. As big a deal for Ron as it was for us as fans watching.
Sure.
I think Ron, especially during that time period, was very, very quick to defend his guys as far as what was happening emotionally in that locker room. Mm-hmm. With everything that happened with, God damn it, what's his name? The car accident.
Oh, DeShazer?
Yeah.
DeShazer Everett, yeah.
With everything that happened with DeShazer, everything that's happened as far as the COVID diagnosis, like I think that was a period of time where I think Ron Rivera more than anything is understanding that emotions just run high sometimes. And if anybody's going to understand how that works in a locker room or on a sideline, it's going to be the guy who played with the fucking 85 Bears and knows how crazy shit can get.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's fair. I can understand the thought though.
I understand the thought. I just think financially we're in a position where it's going to be, I think that if it was that big a deal, Daron would have been on the trading block before this, which is what we're kind of scratching our heads about right now.
Right.
But I think right now with this, it'll be a natural thing for him to contribute what he can this year, help raise the new guys, and then walk if need be.
Yep. I totally agree. All right. So the last comment from Blood Clot with a K. is I would love to see Sam Howell get some reps in the fourth quarter in preseason, not for any type of starting situation. No, I agree. Let him absorb the offense so it's second nature. I just want to take a peek at the talent. I agree. I don't think we should be putting Sam Howell in any sort of pressure situation. And I'm also curious to see a name we didn't mention today, but Cole Kelly, right, is going to be a guy that's going to get reps this offseason. I know we always think of the quarterback room as 2 to 3 players, but they're always 4 in the preseason, and 3 and 4 get a ton of time. So I think that like very last preseason game, you're going to see Sam Howell and Cole Kelly, and that's it. You won't even see Taylor. What are your thoughts on that?
No, I want nothing to do with Sam Howell this year. Reason being,
not even preseason games.
Not even preseason. And the reason I'm saying not even preseason is I look at Sam Howell as a long-term project. I don't need to see him in preseason at all. And I don't think us as fans can handle seeing Sam Howell in preseason if Carson Wentz goes out there and struggles a little bit. That
is a very, very good point.
Remember, I am still a proud member of the Cult of Cult.
Oh, everyone is. I'm right there.
Love you forever.
Right yeah.
Dog. But sure enough, I wanted him to start, and that was probably not a good idea.
Well, I'm not going to comment on that because I was so deep in that cult. I still think it might have been a good idea. So
I kind of still do. I was like,
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. You don't need to do that. You don't need to qualify yourself. Still think it's a great idea.
It still makes me sad.
I know. But once again, rest in peace to Colt Brennan. And then the last comment, and thank you, Blood Clot, for those comments. We really appreciate it. 555 Kalex, 555 Kalex, Calix,
Salix, 555 Calix,
555 Calix. Brian Robinson Jr. gives the offense balance and one more reason why Washington will be a serious division competitor this year. Loving that immediately because the Brian Robinson Jr. pick, I think, does help Antonio Gibson out a whole lot, providing him competition, providing him a breather, and it allows our running backs to do what they need to do best. KDot, what is that look on your face?
I clicked on 555 Calix and saw he was following the Cosby Show. So I just took a pause. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Oh, no, you're fine. You're fine.
Well, I understand, man. The Cosby Show in its time was legit.
What are your thoughts on the comment?
What did he say?
Brian Robinson Jr. gives the offense balance. Yeah. Go ahead.
Like I said in I think it was last episode where I agree with that wholeheartedly. He brings the physicality now to the offense that is able to provide a balance that we haven't had, or we've been searching for in Antonio Gibson. He's just been really, really, really disappointing in that aspect. And the thing that's so crazy is if you really go to their measurables, they're the same fucking size.
Yeah.
Gibson's
actually a little bigger.
Right.
Gibson's actually a little bigger.
What the fuck are you doing?
Believe it. Yeah.
I won't understand it. I don't get it.
This guy will play to his size. How about that?
Yeah,
and that's nice. It's nice to know.
Everybody was like, Robinson looks massive in person. Is he really?
I think he has better posture.
Maybe. Gibson, dog. Like, we just say it at camp. Like, do we need something like fat camp? Just pretend to be fat or pretend to be big?
Like, here's the thing. Would you rather, like, who would you feel more confident around? A 6'1" man that slouches or like a 5'11" man that stands tall?
Depends on the situation.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah, I was thinking about that a bit more. But anyway, that's the point. Take something away from that. 555 Kalex, thank you so much for the comment. We really appreciate it. And we really appreciate you guys. And that's going to wrap up the show. This is District Divided, a DC sports podcast. Once again, I am Amit. That is KDot. Thank you guys so much for listening. We will be back next week with any sort of Commanders news that we find. Shout out to the Caps tonight. Huge game 6, down 3-2 to the Panthers. It has been a soul-sucking series, KDot, where we really should be up 3-2. We were up 3-0 in the last game. Tough result there. And also shout out the Washington Spirit. Put on a trivia night at Metro Bar. It was fun meeting Sam Stobbs, starting center back over there, as well as some of the other members of the Washington Spirit. That was very fun. But yeah, next week, more Commanders talk and hopefully some Spirit talk coming around the corner as well. We will see you guys next week. Take it easy.
Take command. No, hail to the Commanders. That's right. Yeah. Ooh.
Hail to the Commanders. Yeah, let's talk about that. That hashtag. I feel like so.
Did you vote?
I did.
What'd you vote for?
I actually voted for it, but I didn't think it was going to win.
Same here. God damn it.
I'm just like, sure. I don't know. Like, it doesn't really make sense. but I was just sort of like, well, whatever. Like, I don't really like the other options either.
Yeah, we voted for it. That's that shit.
That's the problem. We're
like
the problem.
the one thing, but that's the thing is like I think this entire also the last 2 years, oh, they're listening to us fans and being like, yeah, and then we finally get it. We're like, fuck it, click here. We listen to you. No, not now. Why now?
Why now? We were talking about names for the longest time, and then they're like, you know what? Let's vote on the hashtag, and then we voted wrong. But what was voting right? What was voting right in that situation?
Take Command. Here's the thing. Take Command was probably it's the right choice.
But you couldn't do it because of the climate.
How about we stop having people in the front office sexually assault people and we'll be okay?
It wasn't an option to vote for. Also, the hashtag's too long.
It wasn't. What? Oh, you mean? Oh, fuck you. Look, man. What were the options? I forget what the options were. What were there were 4, weren't
I
there?
don't remember.
There were 4. It's like take Command, hail to the commander.
Okay, I'm gonna look it up.
Commander up.
No way was Commander
it
up.
Was something
then I would
stupid.
know why HTTC won. Hashtag vote Commanders. I had to be some options. Let's see. How are we, dude? We are also just terrible at Googling. Just in general. I just wanted to say that.
I don't think I'm fairly good at it.
Okay, maybe it's just me.
Fuck that.
Oh, here we go. Okay.
I'm on Twitter.
Hold on. There was, I think, we're the Washington Commanders. You're on Twitter looking for it.
I'm on Twitter. Yeah.
Okay, I'm looking for the hashtag poll. Let's see. Because that would have been a while back. Anyway, while you're looking for that, dude, it's been a hell of a week. There's been so much going on. I feel like I don't know why this time of year always gets so absurdly busy, but it's a constant in my life. Like late April, early May, mid-May is always just chaos. I think it's because there's always summer travel. Going to a wedding in Vegas in a couple weeks. Oh, I don't know how we're gonna do that show, by the way. I need to figure that out. I could bring my laptop. We could quickly record. I'll edit, and then I'll just go down and gamble a bit.
Dude, if you ever need me to take over like editing for an episode, I could do that for you.
You can do that?
Yeah.
No, I appreciate it. I just don't want to put too much on your plate. For those that don't know, because we might be releasing this, KDot does just an absolute wizard. He comes up with the thumbnails in like seconds, and it looks so professional and it's perfect every single time.
All that.
And you also do the ASOS editing, don't you?
I do, and I can't wait to do the editing for my own goddamn podcast.
Yeah, hey, that's solo. Yeah, hey, talk to us about it. What's going on there?
It's gonna be called The Extraordinary Nobody.
Okay.
It's named after a
league.
So the league that I'm now part of on my fantasy football, we've had the same fantasy football league since sophomore year of high school. Mm-hmm. It's changed names, but because I think at first it was like a debate team thing, and then I wasn't even the original commissioner, but the name League of Extraordinary Nobodies and the Extraordinary Nobodies all based off an album by a rapper / producer named LP, also known as El Producto, one half of the Run the Jewels crew. Him and Killer Mike.
Okay.
I make no exaggeration with saying that if it wasn't for LP and a couple of his albums and when they dropped, I probably wouldn't be here today.
Really?
He helped me. Sometimes when you're going through some shit, you just need to know that somebody else is kind of with you, or that you at least know that there's something on the other end, or that there's no sense in giving up, or at least allows you to look at things that are happening to you in a different perspective.
Yeah.
Or to just buck the fuck up.
And so LP's been useful in that respect for you.
Hugely.
I don't think I ever knew that.
And not a lot of I don't think I've ever gone that deep letting people know. Because I mean, you try to keep things fun as far as like this is the name of the fantasy football league. But no, right. This is literally
That's
I'm
cool.
alive because of his music, which is why music is also so important to me. But I don't know. I just want a space.
I mean, let's look at your background. I mean, look at the photos behind you. It's incredible.
Yeah, these are all just poser shit. But the I'm not gonna lie, my dad put this shit up. It ain't me.
He's got some great
Bob
taste,
Marley thing is down there. I need to even find a space to put that up here.
Yeah, that's got some great
the
lighting
wall
to
I
it as
care
well.
more about is over on this center. It's got Malcolm X.
So we don't even get your coolest wall.
Cool to me. So like there's
okay.
the artwork down. It's weird. It's like is Dizzy Gillespie right there. Miles Davis is right there on bookending the size of the TV. You got Malcolm X over there. We've got like every jazz player known alive in like 1930s Harlem.
Yeah.
Right there sitting on a photo.
Okay.
I have vinyl records. They're kind of displayed on this end. I've got something I can't say what it is on camera. I've got a piece of artwork that haunts the living shit out of me. It was a wedding gift when I was married by a co-worker's husband, who's a fairly well-known artist. Actually, I probably should say this, but his family was very, very prominently featured in the Church of Scientology. To the point where I remember when the documentary was coming out and we were hanging out, like all these reporters and stuff blowing his phone up nonstop. And then they found my number and they found everybody, and they were trying to, fucking nuts. But he did something for me. And he did this art piece and it creeps me the fuck out. I don't know why I
wasn't ready for that. Yeah.
It scares the living shit out of me. It's a picture of a man. It's a weird wedding gift.
That is a weird wedding gift.
It's a painting of a man, and he looks very, very serious. When I turn the lights off and I'm walking through his basement, you kind of see the eyes just a little bit.
Is he staring at you? Is this guy staring at you?
It always feels as though he's staring at me.
That's a lot.
It's fucking creepy. And yet I'm obsessed with it.
I was going to say, it sounds like you can't take it down.
Never take it. Well, you know, I didn't even actually put that up.
It's not even up.
I didn't put it up.
Oh, got it. Who put it up? Well,
never asked.
You don't even know.
My father? Yeah, I don't know. I didn't put it up. I didn't do it. It is professionally put up. It is mounted on that wall. I never asked.
You know what? I think it's a good way to end this. I'm just...
And I still can't find the fucking pole.
Oh my God. You know what? All right. We will see you guys next week.